All right. Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to a very special episode 10 of RareFUD Radio. Sorry for the technical difficulties. If you did see the last stream, I had to end it real quick. The title was off, and YouTube was not letting me edit it, so I had to stop it, restart it. So I appreciate you guys bearing with us for those technical difficulties. Joined as always by my special co-host Dorian. Dorian, how you doing today, my man?
Yo, what's going on? Once again, man, happy to be here. Can't wait to have another exciting show with you, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of bummed for episode 10. We're not going to have Joe. Yeah. In case you guys missed it on the tweet, Joe is actually hospitalized with COVID right now. So big thoughts and prayers with him on a speedy recovery. I hope he gets better. Apparently he's running a really high fever right now. So nonetheless, we do have our very first guest on the RareFUD Radio. We have Litecoin Yagami. Light, how you doing, my man?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm really glad to be here. What's going on?
Yeah, happy to have you here.
We are ecstatic to have you here. I know I have just started reaching out to people I want to have on the show, trying to line it up, and I hit you up today, and here we are. Look at that. It was a quick fill-in. I appreciate you stepping in for Joe as our very first guest, nonetheless. And I want to talk about you, man. I've been a big fan of your Twitter. You've always had thoughtful analysis without all the hype and BS that we see from a lot of these, quote unquote influencers that I value, right? And I share a lot of the sentiment with you, and you've also educated me as well as many others with your threads. So I want to talk a little bit about how you got into NFTs, how you got into Solana, and talk a little bit about what you're going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody, I came into NFTs because of crypto. So like not too much to explain there, of course. But when I first joined the community, I definitely noticed that there was just so much BS going on. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but yeah, there's a lot of BS going on, and with influencers and rugs and whatnot. And I don't know, I could have totally just been one of those guys that just got super angry at the world, but instead I just started writing threads, to be honest. And at the time I didn't really realize that they were threads because I'd never heard the correct term for that. But yeah, I just kept it going. And yeah, it's led me up to this point. I write for Magic Eden. I run my own blog, and I write for several other clients and stuff. So yeah, it's been super fun. Working on a really cool project with my friends called Underground Society, and that's pretty much it for now.
Cool. You have a little bit of alpha on Underground Society you want to share? Anything you want to mention as far as what it stands for?
Man,
Or
what can I
still on the
say?
down low?
It's very cryptic, but I will say that you don't want to miss it. Absolutely
Okay.
don't want to miss it.
All right.
Bullish on Underground Society. I will keep it on my radar, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I see you write for Magic Eden now. You're on Yord, which I think Yord is such a cool platform. I know H over there is director of growth for them. And look, I love that we're getting transparency within the NFT ecosystem in general, especially on Solana, where we kind of get to leave reviews as to what we think about the project. And I saw we can go straight into it. Your review on ABC, you gave it a perfect 10. Is that correct?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. I gave it I had to give it the 5 stars. I'm really picky about like the projects that I review, you know what I mean? Like in the first place. And people have definitely told me that I rate way too low. But I just thought ABC was way too innovative to ignore at that point. So I really dug into the project, and when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, like I need to tell people about this. So yeah.
And you did too. I want to give you, go ahead, Dorian.
Yeah. I want to say, please, if you don't mind, just giving us some of the reasons why you're bullish on ABC and you gave it a 5-star. Because honestly, its parabolic run has been a mystery to me. But don't get me wrong, just because I don't fully understand it does not mean I don't respect the pump, man. You have to respect the pump.
A few reasons why I'm bullish. Okay, so HGE, I like him as a founder. I like him as just a member of the community. I think he's very tapped in, and I think that he has the not only the capital but the clout to make things happen. So that's one for sure. 2 is just the fact that there's 0 royalties. We've seen that kind of demand for 0 royalties in the ecosystem. I guess whether or not you agree with it, we definitely have seen it. And then 2 is just the fact that it's kind of ominous, right? Like there's no Twitter, there's no team, there's no Discord, and it's still kind of functioning, right? It kind of reminds me of Bitcoin in a way, because it's just like something that was left for us and we determine the value. So that's kind of what got me super like bullish on that. So yeah.
So like for me regarding ABC, because of those things, would it be I hate to compare it to Degen Town, but a lot of the hype around Degen Town was forced because of more of speculation. So could you say the same thing would apply to ABC? And I mean, I think it's a bit too early to be like, man, this is a long-term sustainable project, because everybody's hyped when things are going parabolic after a week. But like, do you think that there's actually long-term viability behind this project where in 2 to 3 months, it'll still be around at the levels it's currently at?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. When I first made the thread about ABC, like I had kind of compared it a little bit to Degen Town, and I guess not in the best light, obviously, because like, it almost was a rug. There's people that were like kind of upset about that, and I was trying to pretty much like really focus on that aspect, right? Like the aspect of them having so much hype and then kind of like failing to deliver. But yeah, I think what ABC is doing differently from when Degen Town first launched is just the fact that they have so many partnerships already. You can literally see the amount of things that they're building on top of HGE, just really repping the community and putting the team on his back. So yeah, that's what I think is different about it. And going forward in the future, those partnerships and utilities can only scale at this point. I feel like it's pretty limitless in what they can do.
Yeah, like for me, I mean, those are all great reasons, man. And like, I'm not fading the project by any means. This is just one of the things I would personally miss because it doesn't fit along my investment thesis. Like HGE has made it clear, like this is community run. So regardless if like he is the head of it or people view him as being the head, he has not made it. He's made it very clear that like, yo, it's like, this is your guys' project. And like, it's not my responsibility to make sure this goes. So a lot of these community-based projects, I don't think they tend to succeed in the long run. SMB does great. I mean, that's one of the top tier community led projects. But for the most part, a lot of them lose motivation. They fizzle out. People start focusing attention elsewhere when the price is no longer going up. So while I do respect the pump, I'm just going to sit this one on the sidelines and watch how this project develops over the long term. And if it's still around in a couple weeks or months, by all means, I'm glad to be proven wrong, and I'll buy in at that point as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to like kind of, approach it, because like buying pumps, it is pretty much akin to gambling. So you really don't know what's going to happen. So kind of just waiting for the dust to settle is an excellent strategy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was right there with Dorian, where I kind of looked at this and said, I didn't zoom out enough. I think I had too much bear lenses with it. Like we had just been in a down bad bear market, and this guy comes through with like, kids drawings at 1.23 SOL. And I'm sitting there like, this feels like almost cash grabbing. I don't know why I didn't look into it. I also didn't know right off the bat that it was HGE. If so, I probably would have done more research, and look, I missed out. And I will tell you firsthand, that is like my big RareFUD Radio miss is like, I said, play with it, watch it. There's 0% royalties. That's fun. But, I kind of like it. It's like meta changing, right? Like it is literally, there's no mint. It's all listed on Magic Eden. There is no roadmap. There's no promises or anything like that. And then he's like, oh, by the way, here comes Hadeswap. I like the little like teaser for it where it was the upside down guy. And it was like Posna or whatever, basically Hadeswap backwards. Like it was fun. And now they have a community driven Discord. They have a community driven Twitter. They had a space the other day. It's nice. I think it's fun. And I was telling this on Hello Moon Mornings the other day, that I think fun's the new meta, right? Like having fun is honestly the new meta. We see it with Liberty Square has gone up, and we've been bullish on like their presence on Twitter. They're kind of saying like, hey, this isn't like your traditional PFP art. Like we're trying to do something different here. And it's good. I like us seeing breaking out of metas and just trying new stuff. And I think that's what, Duck Bunks too. I mean, just going with the meme. Basically, they just translated that from dick butts, right? Like they were just like, hey, we're taking that dick butts culture and we're going straight to Solana with Duck Bunks, which sounds really similar now that I say it out loud. I don't know why, one duck equals one butt. So I'm about it. Yeah, let's get Quex in the chat, please. But yeah, no, it is fun. I'm like cheering them on, from the sidelines. But dude, I'm so happy. I'm talking to like artists in messages that are like, dude, I've never traded NFTs. Like, should I take profit now or anything like that? And I always tell them like, one, don't listen to me. Like always, take profit. Like profit is profit. Profit is king. You just got to make sure that you have a plan to reinvest it somewhere else. But if this is the project you're most bullish on, like you got a really good cost basis. Stay with it. So Light, I love your review too. And I think it's funny that Dorian brought it up because he is saying something about DGen Town, and literally like the second line on your review on Yord is, but if you think this ends like DGen Town scandal, you couldn't be more wrong. I don't know if you read that or not, Dorian, but
I haven't read your article. I apologize.
Man, like that is awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Like I said, I really am not trying to throw shade at them at all. Like I know that they're trying to rebuild it and like make it a good thing. There was a lot of mistakes made, of course. So like, yeah, I was just like, hey guys, this is like completely different, right? Like this is something that, it doesn't have the intention to rug. I think I already forget his name, but I think that the person that was involved with that project like had every intention of rugging it and misleading people. So yeah.
Yeah, Ramo. And who was the other guy? That other guy actually gave money back to Magic Eden to like refund people. So I respect that. Yeah, like one of the other big guys in there, but Ramo, dude, I'm not gonna get into beef. Ramo said something to K Money on Twitter that was just like so not cool. Right after K Money's grandma passed away, and look, that is like there are borders even in DGen, NFT Twitter. Like you don't cross that, and he did, and I don't think I will ever forgive anybody for saying something like that. But nonetheless, I do want to talk about ABC because they talked about rev share with it. They did have Hadeswap. They also I cannot remember what else they announced yesterday in the space. And Light, you might have more insight to that. But I mean, it looks like they just continue to build on top of this thing. I love the fact that it's immutable and they're just saying like there's no rarity or anything like that. It's just kids drawings.
Yeah, it really does give me those, V Friends vibes. Like I fell in love with the art when I first saw it. I'm like, this is just so like, it's just cute. Like it just looks interesting, right? It looks unlike anything else we've seen on Solana. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like funny too, seeing those like pictures, like they just keep running, right? Like 40 soul, 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of troll in a way, but yeah, like I thought it was super funny.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one more point before we move on from ABC is there's a lot of derivatives coming out, like a lot. Like we say ABC cars, ABC children, ABC houses. Please be absolutely careful with those things. Like if you are buying in, you make sure that you have like a stop loss where you want to, put it listed and take profit. I personally am not touching them, right? Like even if they have no royalties, I don't care. I'm not touching that stuff. If I'm not touching the actual project itself, I'm certainly not touching the derivatives. So
even though I'm not touching it, it's still a way to make money. So I don't want to discount that fact. If you're a really good trader and you know how to play the derivative market, by all means, go ahead. And like the derivative market, you'll see this anytime after a successful project, even on ETH right now. And I think they have like baby utes going on over there. So it's just like, wow, I don't dabble in derivatives. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't, or it's like, it's not a great way to make more liquidity, but it is extremely risky.
Yeah. Dude,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have like a group of friends that are just like all they do is trade all day, and so they're like pinging the roll like all day. There's like ABC 123s and like all these different derivs, and I'm like, I just feel weird even like buying these. It's so sketch, but
dude, it is a game of hot potato, like in the highest caliber. So if you're watching this, just be careful if you're going into the derivs market. That's all I really wanted to say. We do have more Utes news because again, I'm pretty sure every single episode we talk about Utes, dude. You have to when it has as much attention on it. We do have it seems like the team can't catch a break to some extent. I feel like they've just worn themselves out with how much work they've done in order to get this thing out the door and rolling. We did have the issue on mint day where, a lot of people, including myself, were having trouble minting it, which is fine. Honestly, I expected it and loved it because it brings me back to the old Solana days where I'm sitting there like furiously clicking my mouse. But I was fine with it. This one, though, is a little bit more, of a mishap where we had some raffle instances. So if you guys didn't see, there was a waitlist raffle and then there was a rejected raffle. And those waitlist ones had about 260, Dorian. Is that correct? Utes to raffle off?
Yeah, so what happened was there were 1,400 waitlisted applicants that had the opportunity to mint 235 tubes. If you weren't eligible or you didn't get it in that pool, then you had the opportunity to deposit dust for a raffle in a smaller pool for like 10. So you're only competing against like 200 or like 1,400 people or whatever, or 1,200 people. It's a pretty small pool, so higher chance of getting it. And there was also a rejection pool where they had 64,000 participants, and then you had the opportunity to win one of 100 tubes. But instead of limiting those pools, they were open to the public. So everybody just swarmed in and deposited dust. I think a total of 79,000 dust was deposited for both of these raffles from the public. So a lot of people who were waitlisted are outraged. A lot of people who were rejected, who applied, are outraged. A lot of people who got in through the public are outraged, even though they weren't supposed to participate. So the way Frank decided to resolve this is just by giving everybody who lost or who's not going to win one of these tubes their dust back.
That's fair. It just, like I said, it's one of those things where it's like you've been working so long that you're just going to like run into stumbling blocks where it's just like those little mishaps that are catastrophic sometimes, especially in public perception. Light, I know you got Ute listed. Do you know anybody who was on the wait list or rejected that had issues with this?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all my friends that were waitlisted weren't able to mint at all. Like, I just basically woke up this morning and I heard all the news and I'm just like, holy crap, like DeGods can't catch a break at this point. Frank can't catch a break. It's pretty insane. They've been having like, mishap after mishap. and all eyes are on them. There's lots of pressure there, so it's pretty tough. It's a tough situation, of course. Like, you know, never preying on any project's downfall. I hope that they're able to get those refunds out to people, and I hope that, you know, it's just straight shooting forward at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. It's one of those things where, dude, I just feel bad for everybody. I know everybody just wants to get through this process at this point, right? Like we're done with the minting, you know, drama that's there to some extent, and we just want to get to like tubes and the art reveal and like everything that Frank has planned. And he said it on Twitter. He's like, dude, minting has never been our strong suit. Like we don't claim to be good at that. We're focused really on what comes after. So I know they are like dying to get to the secondary phase, right? And get past this whole minting nonsense. And I do feel for a lot of people, but look, if you were on the wait list, if you did get rejected or anything like that, like take a deep breath. It is okay. Like we always say on RareFUD, there will always be more opportunities, right? Always. So just watch it. Maybe the drama brings floor price down. Maybe this gives you a chance, maybe on art reveal, to get in at a good price. And, you know, I'm hoping for you. But nonetheless, we are excited here to see what happens with Utes after the fact. See what the art reveal looks like. Art reveal has been postponed. It sounds like till next Friday now instead of this Friday. Yep, delayed. We got a lot of delays, bro.
Yeah, delay.
So, yeah, it sounds like. I mean, they refunded the stuff. I mean, it sucks for a lot of people that were hoping to win the raffle and whatnot, but at least they did right by them to some extent, you know, like, and got their cost basis back. So I think a lot of people are frustrated, one, with the fact that some people, like in our time zone, had to wake up at like 2 a.m. in order to get in on this. So it was just the timing of it. And then it's also the fact that they've been holding on to Dust for this chance, and Dust hasn't been performing well. And so a lot of people are feeling underwater, especially if they bought at like $3+ per Dust. So it's one of those things where it's like compounding emotional distress, and it's just snowballing into, like, you see it on Twitter. A lot of people are tweeting about like, man, I'm just so frustrated with the Utes team. They can't do anything right. And it goes back to the man in the arena. Like, people are always going to be loud from the sidelines, but I think once we start seeing what they really have cooking up behind the scenes, then everybody's going to shut up and pay attention.
Yeah.
So I think
sorry,
a lot of no, I apologize. Like, you go ahead, man.
No, I was going to say I have the exact same thoughts, and yeah, well said. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of the discontent is coming from, I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody's justified, especially for the individuals who are supposed to be in the smaller raffle pool. I would be a little angry as well. But it's crazy because the most vocal are the ones who, either didn't apply for a Ute list in general or got rejected and were like, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
What do you mean, dog? Like, it's surprising people's entitlement or whatnot that comes out of these situations. And like, I think people aren't as empathetic towards the team. It's like, it's not as easy to be frank as people may think. It's like, you have so much focus on him and the rest of the team to execute. So like, yes, they might not have had a flawless execution, but for me, regarding the mint, but for me, that's the smallest part. Are they are going to execute their roadmap? Yeah, they have a strong history of being to execute their roadmap. So just because you fumble a mint a little bit doesn't mean that's a complete reflection of the team. Now, if you start bungling things on your roadmap, that's a bigger issue in my book.
Yeah. That we'll see what happens. I just hope that team gets their rest, and like, I'm glad they're delaying the art drop, and so, because I think that's what really starts the whole process of what they have planned for post mint. But I'm hoping that this weekend they kind of like catch some Z's and recoup and kind of re-up and get going with it, because I know we're all excited for it, and I know most of us can look past this, but there is always going to be that vocal minority that will have a problem with anything they do. So I think that does it for you. So you guys have any closing remarks on that before we move on?
Yeah, I just, my thing is just like, I really think Utes as a project is going to do well in the long term. I just don't see it going back to mint. So a lot of the people that are kind of freaking out about floor price or anything like that, or sell shaming people on Twitter, I just say chill out and just let the process play out. So
yeah. I would, well said. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And look, a mint is such a small blip like in the long vision of a project, right? I don't remember just about any of my actual mints except for like when I got rugged or like they didn't control the Discord and sent out a scam link and then everybody got drained. I remember that on what? Metacaps, I think, was one of those. Like it's some obscure project that I was like, why did I even try to mint this? The glory days. So we'll move on though. Dorian, you brought it up in our private chat, but we talk about Divine Dogs. So we got Divine Dogs as a call back from our chat, actually. Ricky Rich, I don't know if he's watching right now, but it was like, yo, you need to check out Divine Dogs. The art rework is being done by Hyblinks and Light. I'm not sure if you know about this project or not. It's actually a really small collection size of 770, but they went from about 4 SOL. They peaked at 13.9. I think they've retraced a little bit. Obviously, people are going to take profits, which is why I didn't want to ape in anymore. But look, this could be a really good. I'm bullish on these projects that are having crossover between the one-on-one space and the generative space. So getting these high-profile artists on to do reworks is always like, that's why I'm in Jacon, because you have Jinraf and Arkamfu, who are very good artists, doing the whole rework and the vision process for them on the art side, as well as a strong team like HUD is very transparent on Twitter and everything like that. But I kind of want your take, Dorian. You did mention a good play on potentially their SPL token, which we've seen pop off on many other projects.
Yeah, so I've been bullish on this project ever since, as Bison said, Hyblinks was brought up, man. It's like her work on Hoodlums has gone for over 100 SOL. I think her recent one hit like 98 or 99 for an auction. That's absolutely insane, man. She's out there killing it, dude. And her art is sick. She came out with a smaller collection that sold out in, like, we talked about it on the last episode that we were going to participate in it. Yeah, we had no shot. That thing sold out in like 2 seconds. So
and it was 9 seconds for that 80 edition.
It's absolutely crazy. However, it's like I personally wouldn't be picking up any more dogs above in the double digits right now, seeing I already packed my bags prior. However, a good play right now is Halo, which is their SPL token. A lot of people don't know, but in order to do the art upgrade, you need 300 Halo. Right now, the staking platform, and no shade against Divine Dogs, the staking platform could be improved a little bit. But as of now, it's like it seems like they're going to start releasing artwork and sneak peeks in the next coming month or so. And there's not enough time for you to acquire Halo through staking. So you should buy, even if you're not able to get a Divine Dog, buying some off of Famous Fox Federation, their token market, will at least get you some exposure to the potential upside of Divine Dogs, because the individuals who do have a dog need 300 Halo to be able to mint a Transcendent dog. So being able to pick that up and then sell it later on when people are scrambling for it, I think can be a play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with that call. I think the one thing that kind of makes me a little bit hesitant is the fact that it's only traded on Famous Fox, which, you know, is not a bad thing by any means, but the token market is much less transparent than if you can see the chart on Hello Moon or anything like that, or a deck screener. Light, I kind of want your take. Have you checked out Divine Dogs? Because I know I actually saw you tweeted out Hyblinks, and I was like, I was about to DM you, be like, bro, do not tell all of your followers about this edition, because I want one, maybe even 2, but it sold out in 9 seconds, so I didn't even get one. But Light, do you know about it?
No, I don't know too much about Divine Dogs, but I'm so psyched to hear that she worked on that. I talked to her, I think the day of or the day before her editions dropped, and it's just like, man, like, first of all, she's such a cool person, like one of the most genuine, down to earth people in the space, or at least the one-of-one space, and her art is just breathtaking, man. So I'm actually really excited to hear that. I'm gonna have to look into the project now, but the fact that Hyblinks is, the artist there, it's hella bullish.
Yeah, they were lucky enough to find. So we got kind of the scoop on it is they were able to find Hyblinks, identify Hyblinks as like an incredible artist way early into her career. Like she had like 800 followers on Twitter or something like that. So that's one. I think that's bullish in itself. Like you're able to identify like really promising artists like that to do a rework. They got her for cheaper than you can get her now for sure, because they found her so early. And she's like upholding the contract, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. So it is nice to see it all work out. I hope, it brings more attention to her work, because she deserves all the claps in the world. She is, I would consider her right up there in that upper echelon with like, Adam Ape with his voxel monkeys. Laura L continues to kill it always. DJ Poet is master of additions, and as well as his 101 stuff, but the guy kills it. There's these major artist sleepers up there as well, but I would say he Hyblinks fits more into that category of the
absolutely.
3 I mentioned. So it's go ahead, Dorian.
I just want to say too, it's like, just because Hyblinks is doing the rework for Divine Dogs is still a solid project. They have a lot of they're working with a lot of 101 artists to do special auctions for their community. I think Soul Breakbrain tweeted out something yesterday about working with exchange art, and Divine Dogs was involved in that. So like, just because we're focusing on Hyblinks and her work doesn't mean that the project isn't good. The project is solid.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually brings up a really good point. We didn't have it on the show notes, but I don't know if you guys saw, Exchange Art had a seed round, and we're seeing a lot of these seed rounds coming in. A lot of VCs or investment arms are investing in these seed rounds of different projects and everything like that. We're seeing it with Exchange Art. They raised about 7 million, if I'm not mistaken. So about the same as Dust Labs. Let's see if I can pull up the announcement. But yeah, dude, it's really bullish for the 101 space. They had some major backing. Of course, we're gonna have like Soul Big Brain, who's been Big Brain Gallery is one of the more prominent galleries in the space. HGE said he was backing it as well. I'm trying to pull up yes, here we go. I'll go ahead and share my screen here for a second. But yeah, there's a ton of great people who are backing this right now. And I think it's just really bullish for what we're going to see moving forward in the 101 space. This is why I've been saying this for like the past 2 months. Like, 101 art will explode. We saw it with Ethereum. I think Solana is even more interesting because we have these third world artists. Like, I don't know if you've seen, but there's like a movement of Indonesian artists that are so cracked. They are so good at art. One of the ones that I picked up early and his stuff continues to go is Joni Visual on Form Function. And I mean, like, he's really talented. His thematic series kind of goes around Greek mythology, and it's super fun. I picked up a piece for like 2 Sol, and they keep going up, 4 Sol, 5 Sol. So you love to see that steady growth, but that's why I think the promise is of Solana, right? Is it's way easier for most of these like underprivileged countries to have access to a huge community for cheap too. You don't have to worry about gas fees or anything like that. You don't have to worry about breaking into an already established community. Like, Solana is still ripe for the taking for a lot of these people. And it's really good to see. I love that we have Boogles who kind of just like took off with the 101 scene. I mean, they are a huge reason that we have a 101 scene in Solana right now. And you can see a lot of them have backed exchange art. So it's good to see. Obviously, you would expect that with A2K being a Boogle himself. But dude, I'm very bullish on the 101 scene. Light, how long have you been in the 101 scene? Because I've seen you tweet out some stuff, and I'm like, okay, Light knows his stuff. I love to see it.
Yeah, man, I love 101 artists. I think that they're just like the heart of Solana at this point. And I don't even know how I got into the scene. I just really admired the art so much, so I would just ping people back in the day and like showcase some of their stuff. Got really tight with a lot of the artists, met some really cool people. Of course, met Hyblinks, met Outcasts, met a lot of Indonesian artists, like you were mentioning earlier, and they are super talented. Like, it's crazy. So bullish on 101 art. It's great to see that, they're really getting that attention that they deserve, because I just feel like that's a huge, vital aspect of the future of Solana. So.
Yeah, I would agree. It is really refreshing to see. I love Exchange. I love that we also have Form Function too, because I do like having 2 prominent platforms that we can kind of go back and forth on. Artists can pick and choose what they like. And I don't know if you've seen it either, Light, but Beatbox Cartel, I think that's, or Beatbox or Boombox Market. I cannot remember.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah, it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, Boombox Market. Okay, so it was. I was actually talking to Scooby. If you guys don't know who Scooby Soul is, I've retweeted his tweet most recently, so you guys can go check out one of his beats. But he's a musician who kind of commissions some art and then just throws a beat over it. insanely good. And we were talking about the music 101s, which I'm very bullish on. Like as far as the future goes, I think Solana is the space to move and distribute music NFTs. And I think there's a way that we can model it on Solana like nobody else can. And so it was talking about how we can distribute music efficiently, that people have ownership over it, can share it properly. Like I know for me as a YouTuber, it's such a pain having to deal with DMCA. And like, any strikes like that is annoying, dude. It's so having like NFTs be a possible new model for us to allow. It's so good for artists. Like I hate DMCA because I'm like, dude, I just want to like show how good this artist is, right? That's why our intro is a 101 by Low Fronts, because we have talented people in this space, and I think this could be a huge way forward, a huge industry to tackle with NFTs. So really bullish on that. And I love that Light's in the 101 scene. It makes me happy to hear it because I think you said it best, where you get to connect with these artists. And I think that is such a cool part about the 101 scene that a lot of people who haven't dug into it don't realize until you do. Like I message artists every single day, and they're just like sharing alpha with me, talking about new art styles, talking about ideas of like how to release art. And it's really refreshing to see, because sometimes we don't get that in the generative work, right? Like the project will sometimes like hide their artist away after they're done with the art and just focus on the project. And I'm like, dude, the art's really good. Can I talk to the art? I just want to like pick their brain and just let them know their work's appreciated. So it is refreshing to see.
They're just such a like funny group of people too. Like if you've ever chilled with them on Spaces, or like I got to meet a lot of them in real life at not only Hacker House but also just like a Just Ape party. And
nice.
They're so funny. Like they're such a you pretty much what you like imagine is what they are in real life. Like they're dope.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they're such grounded people. Like Hyblinks is definitely a class. You see it with Hyblinks. I talk to Laura L every now and then on the Pika chat, which is DGen Poet's little small community that he made for all the people who collected the 3 Pokemon he released and airdropped them a Pikachu, which is like worth 10 Sol already right there, which is, I mean, like it's fun rewarding holders and collectors and just like sharing a community with them. So really bullish on the 101 space. I love to see how it's progressing. Love to see exchange art getting like a good backing. It was 3.2 million, so I did mistake the number there, but we continue to see the space grow. And I think that getting funding from VCs is going to be big moving forward. We see it with Dust Labs. We see it with exchange art. I know a few other projects are seeking it right now as well. Yeah, Taiyo as well. I mean, they're going with the graphite pre-IDO. So it's big, dude. Everybody's investing in the Solana space. And I think this is really our time to shine, and we're starting to see the market move. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about Taiyo, since you mentioned it. Taiyo is up bigly. Oil is up from its lows of 4 Sol, hit 20 Sol. It's retraced a little bit down to 17. We've seen scrap has gone from, I think we called it at 30 cents, Dorian, 35 cents.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's about that 30 to 25 cent range we were talking about scrap.
Yeah, and it's gone up to $1.17 last time I checked. Infant's up to 52, Gen 1 to 170. And we bring this up because we want to remind you guys that like the most profitable calls are when you stay ahead of the market and identify when rotations happen. So Light, I really kind of want to bring it to you. Do you have any ideas of like, what's your thesis on where the market goes next? Because we're always trying to front run where the money's going to cycle into next. I have my idea and I've been vocal about it on the show, but kind of want your take. Where do you think this money goes from Utes and eventually Taiyo? Because I think we're seeing the Taiyo pilots pump now. We're seeing it across the board in the Taiyo ecosystem, but kind of want your idea.
I think, first of all, like, you're completely right. Staying ahead of the market, like you guys have, like, so well, like calling scrap at 25, like that's crazy. Like that's really good profit. So good stuff. But yeah, in my opinion, it was pretty obvious that when Utes minted out, like there would be a bull run. So now the question is it sustainable? I personally think that it is going to be for like, at least a month going into October, but everything's up in the air, right? We're still like, we're still in the bear market at the end of the day. So we have to play carefully, but there's so many bullish things happening. You know, Taiyo, like we were just mentioning. So have the Utes reveal, ABC still pumping, and then a lot of people from Ethereum are actually transitioning over to Solana to get into these plays. So we're seeing a lot of money and a decent amount of volume, you know, come back into Solana. So, you know, my long-term bet is like, yeah, of course, like we have to be careful, but short-term, like, yeah, there's lots of money to be made right now.
Yeah.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Dorian, what's your thoughts on that? Yeah, I would say we pretty much echoed that sentiment here on the show. Is there anything you're looking at when it comes to cycling funds in the next step?
One thing that I have to say about like the whole cycling fund thing, I think the bull market is going to, like you said, Light, I think about a month or maybe 2 to 3, I would say, because like all these projects have been waiting on the sidelines for Utes. Like everything was building up till post Utes. So I think there's a lot of projects that wanted to do things that didn't during that 3-month gap where volume was like 20,000 a day. It was insane. So a lot of projects have been waiting until Utes comes past, and now that time is coming up, a lot of projects are all right, let's go. Now it's our time. So I think we're seeing that that Taiyo rotation right now. Boom. Pilots, once that happens, where's that money going? I think in like Catalina and bubblegoose. I think those are the next 2 ones. And not only that, but other OG collections. We're starting to see the OG part of the bull market comes back, where all these projects that have been around for a while are starting to reap those rewards. We started to see it with geckos. Those pumped and then Lotus Gang pumped as well because Lily's releasing soon. So bubblegoose, Catalina will get theirs. I'm gonna shield Cyber Samurai, but the Shake has some stuff cooking, so I think that's coming as well. But yeah, so that's where I think the market's heading is towards these OG projects that have been building, and then after that, then we'll start trickling down to the mint meta because there's a lot of projects that have been wanting to mint, and then maybe we might wind up back at 20K value soon after that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I am incredibly bullish on Wagme Beach for the long haul, and I do think I'm looking at charts that. I think my play right now is just looking at the charts that haven't pumped yet, right? Because we've seen it pretty much across the board that systemic risk or, you know, systemic market conditions have pumped a lot of these projects, you know, 2-3x at least. And so it's just identifying what projects haven't, that are fundamentally sound, have good leadership. And I think bubblegoose is definitely top. I've tweeted this out a few times over the past few days that, look, they haven't seen their big pump yet. I think a lot of people are still bitter that they minted on the worst day possible. The worst day. Like in Solana history, you could not have picked a worse day in history to mint, not only just a mint, but a 7 soul mint. It's like a lot of people are like, are you kidding me? We have to deal with this. And so like a lot of people were up in arms about it. And we only saw it go up to like 15 soul floor price. And then it kind of just hovered around its mint for a while. I think we do eventually see that pump. They keep teasing. In fall we ball, you know, like talking about like, hey, after this Solana summer stuff, like the goose is up next. And I cannot stress it enough that people were like fumbling over themselves that Howie Mandel and Lil Baby and everybody got Ute listed when you have Valhalla, which is their space that they do pretty much weekly, I think, get people like Raekwon and Tracy Morgan and Seth Green and like so many other people. They had Uncle Ruckus from Boondocks. Love reminded me, like they are. I know that's what I'm saying, dude. I was like, how did I miss that? But they're incredibly connected. Like if you want, we always talk about bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3, and there is not a better team to do that than the bubblegoose team. So it's like,
and Wagme Beach as well.
Yeah, Wagme and of course, we can't forget about Mr. Three Names, Michael Ross George. Talking about his connection. I mean, he found Martin Garrix, right? Like, the dude will continue to provide value in some way, shape, or form. It's just not going to be traditional. I think a lot of people are just like in a meta mindset where they're like, if it doesn't have staking and give me this like fancy rewards or anything like that, like I'm bearish on it, whatever. And I think a lot of people are going to get burned by that mindset. So I would agree. I also am looking for those next projects that I think are going to be blue chips. You know, Lotus Gang is a really good call out. Shake mentioned them like at 1 soul, and I cannot believe I faded it.
Me too.
I did buy one at 7, so I am 2x up, but I wanted exposure to Bunjil, and I love his art. Look, the teasers we get for Lily are so sick. I don't know if you've seen them, Light, or if you keep up with Bunjil. I'm sure you do. But yeah, Lotus Game seems like it's like just dormant and ready to explode, and it just keeps going up and up. And I like the steady growth we're seeing.
Yeah, Lotus Gang is so it's interesting. I definitely had heard about it. I'm getting pretty hip to Bunjil recently. Like recently followed him. I love his tweets. He's a funny guy, but so also funny. It's just like the art, man. Like the art that he pumps out is pretty insane. So I think Lily is gonna look pretty different than anything we've seen, at least, you know, art-wise on the Solana blockchain. It's gonna be really interesting and great call on I think it was bubblegoose, right, that you guys were talking about.
Yeah,
great call on that. I think, you know, bubblegoose looks really good. There's way too many connections at this point.
Yeah,
they have a lot of things coming. They're supposed to do a TV show. The art is fire. So that's a really, really solid call. And I also think, you know, Just Ape, we've seen a little run from them a little bit. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool projects right now.
I like that you reminded me about Just Ape because I included them on the thumbnail for a reason. Like I have been trading the Just Ape range because they were ranging from like you could pretty much guarantee that a 4 SOL buy was going to be profitable at some point, and you would just take I did it like 3 times. So I would just buy a few Just Apes anywhere from under 4 SOL and just trade them at like, you know, 6 or 7 or something like that. I did it like 3 times, and now it seems like they finally broke out of their holding pattern, and they are another chart that I'm looking at and I'm like, yes. One, they are very forward facing. I don't think enough people give. It was around that same time that bubblegoose minted, where people are just up in arm. They were like, the market's down bad. This was a 5 SOL mint. Like, we're upset about it. And a lot of people don't realize that they're really connected. They met up with Shaq at Tomorrowland, which again, when you see stuff like that, you can't help but be somewhat bullish. You're like, okay, this team has connections, and having connections cannot be understated in this industry, especially when you're trying to get it to the masses and onboard the next generation of NFT users. So I like Just Ape. I was looking at charts today. I saw them on the smart money inflow as far as Hello Moon goes. And I was looking at some of their stuff that they're working on. And dude, I love the call out light. I think I'm in on Just Ape. So I know Jay Shep will be happy to hear that. I've been talking a lot to Jay Shep lately, and he's a Just Ape maxi. But yeah, it is definitely a project to watch that I think hasn't really seen its big pump yet, and it's under that 10 SOL mark. That I think this is kind of the range that you find these potential blue chips waiting to explode that are going to go to like 30 to 40 SOL if we are going to see this month-long bull run, right? And which I would agree with. I think a month is probably a really good time frame. It could be 2 weeks too. So just like make sure you take profits. Like, don't get euphoric just yet, because that's how bull traps happen. And we don't want, like, Solana itself has been holding a steady range of like 30, right? So we haven't seen Solana or Bitcoin. Those are 2 big indicators, kind of lead us. Like, once those start running too, then we're good to go, right? I would just make sure you take profits, because if those do start running, a lot of people are going to be cycling out of NFTs to gain that exposure to Solana or Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is. So keep your eyes on all the charts, look at it from a macro lens, and make sure you're taking profits right now, because it is very easy to get caught up in euphoria.
Yeah, man. On the piggyback off you about taking profits, it's like I've definitely changed the way I take profits recently. Whenever I invest in something, I used to try to shoot for that 10x, and don't get me wrong, I've been successful with doing that. That's how I got here. But the time horizon that it took was too long, in my opinion. I missed out on like 5 to 10, 3 to 5 X's that I could have done in by holding this one project for a 10x. So I'm learning to take smaller profits, or I guess smaller multiples, to be more liquid, instead of just like having such a long-term investment horizon, because the space moves so fast.
Yeah, for sure. We've said it on the show too, that like it's much easier to compound those gains into the next project, or buy it, and you know, when you sell, then you rotate them into another project that hasn't pumped. Let's say it goes up 2x or something like that, and you just compound those gains versus like trying to chase 100x, especially like we are still pretty much in a bear market. Like, macro conditions as far as the economy goes are not great. So yeah, I think that's where we're at. Light, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really it's just a really good thing to point out that taking profits is super, super important always. Like, you know, myself, I'm a huge profit maxi. Like, that's just the way I've always done things. But also it's kind of like hard, you know, and situations where there's so much euphoria. For example, Utes, like people are kind of like torn between wanting to sell or just hold this thing. And I think it actually just comes down to like your individual case. Like if you can afford to, then yeah, absolutely hold. If not, then just sell. And that goes for anything.
Yep.
Right.
Oh no,
100%.
that's a great point you bring up, man. It's like there's a lot of sell shaming going on around the tubes. It's like, yo, it's like let people do what they want. It's like this is why it's like you have ownership of your NFT, so you can sell if you want to sell. So I don't understand. It's like everybody's financial situation is different. It's like what happens if somebody needs to pay medical expenses or even go on a vacation if they haven't been able to take one. It's like we're all here to make money, and it's like if minting a Utes and selling it change your situation where now you can do something you wanted to, congrats, man. It's like, but yeah, I think the people saying, hey, it's like you need to stop selling your Utes is not good environment that we need to be growing.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of like, you know, I even saw like a sell shaming thread the other day, and I'm just like, man, it's like you have no idea like what their situation is. Like, yeah, maybe they said in the past like they're gonna diamond hand it, and then maybe, you know, their dog had to go to the hospital the next day. Like nobody knows. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I will never sell shame somebody. I think, you know, especially it's easy to, especially in NFTs. Like I remember in 2017, 2018 trading, you know, absolute shit coins, like versus now it's so much easier to get an emotional attachment to a community or a project or anything versus those coins that you're like, oh yeah, they're going to change the entire medical industry. It's like, no, they're not, dude. People are barely adopting Bitcoin. Like, why did we ever think that? But these projects are a little bit different. Like there's that sentimental attachment to a lot of these, and people like take FUD like the worst way possible. They think it's FUD, and it's actually just like either fair criticism or they're just like, dude, this is good profit for me. Like I'm gonna wait on the sidelines. I'm gonna use it to pay medical bills. I'm gonna use it to whatever their case is. Like you never shame somebody. So
absolutely.
I would definitely agree with that. And please don't sell shame people. The last project I want to get into before we kind of talk about what your guys' eyes are looking at and why is Kikiverse. So Dorian, I wanted to talk a little bit to you because I saw you had tweeted that you got some of these. I had no idea what these were. I think the only thing I remember was Kippoverse, which hadn't done anything just yet, but I would imagine that would probably be something to look at if Kikiverse is popping off. What is Kikiverse? Why is it pumping?
So on it, so I minted, and I didn't mint Kikiverse. I picked Kikiverse up off a secondary after mint because I just like the art. No idea what the project does. Honestly, I still don't know today what it's doing. I do know that where there was speculation about because HGE promoted this project, there was speculation about him being involved furthermore, even further in it today. I don't know if that's true or not, but it surprised me the other day because I was just scrolling on the timeline and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, Kikiverse is at 6? I'm like, yo, I got a bunch of these things. I was holding on to them for the art, but I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. I'll go ahead and take the profit.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, I saw they have some sort of watch to earn mechanic where it's like, I don't know, they have like a studio or something like that. Light, you might have some more info as well. I'm not sure if you're like knowledgeable about Kikiverse, but it went from like sub 1 SOL to hitting 6 SOL. So a clean 6x for a lot of people, but I don't know if you have any information on that, Light.
Yeah, I don't know too much about them. I love the art, of course. I definitely heard that they're trying to make like a show or something, and the studio's like I think 3.0 or something. I don't know, but yeah, it looks really interesting. I like the fact that, you know, one of the main things that they talk about in their community is like inclusivity. So like ETH and SOL together, kind of bridging that gap. I think anybody that's focusing on that is sick. So yeah, cool project.
Yeah. 100%. No, so I actually forgot I have another one. Kets came out with their finally teased Enlightenment artwork, and I'm kind of torn on it. Some of them don't look great to me, but some of them look incredibly good. Like just exactly what I think Kets are going for is just like super degenerate artwork. I don't know if you guys have seen it at all. Light, have you checked out any of the Enlightened Kets?
I did, I actually even left a comment. I remember minting kits and like I just never liked the art. Like I don't know what it was. All my friends were super hype about it, and I'm just like, I don't like this at all. Like
Agreed.
that's probably like 90% of the reason I sold. But now it's like this art to me looks so much better. Like I could see myself picking one up just because of that. My only like, I guess, not complaint, but yeah, critique is just like I'm not a fan of the words that are like I don't know if it's part of the JPEG, but there's like words that I've seen on the previews, so I hope those are like taken out because yeah, everything else looks sick.
That's fair. I need to go back and look at that to make sure, because I briefly looked at them. I kept focusing on, they're like, don't press the button. I'm like, I'm pressing the fucking button. So I don't know. It was more or less of that. But Dorian, did you check them out? What are your opinions on them?
Yeah, man. I know when people get involved in NFTs, everybody becomes an art expert. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm one. I personally, like, my bar for good art is low, but I love Cat's new art. I mean, it looks pretty cool. It fits their vibe that they have. I like it, but my favorite type of art is anything anime style. So like Monkai, I love that. Kikiverse, love that. Azuki, duh. So it's like my bar is low. So most things look good to me.
Right. That's totally fair. I think the play here might be, I'm just looking at the chart right now, and milk bottles may be something to watch. Obviously, you need a milk bottle in order to enlighten them. But right now it's sitting at a pretty heavy resistance that it was a support, now resistance, but we just saw the highest volume day for milk bottles since late May, actually early May when they first came out. So that may be one to watch. We always say follow the volume sometimes, and if you haven't seen a major pump from it yet, it may be worth looking out. I'm not going to make it an official call or anything like that, but definitely keep my eye out for it. One, it's that fundamental of like, just like we like Halo, right? With Divine Dogs, is you need these things in order to get the art rework. And there are going to be people that are like, yeah, I either want to take the gamble and see if it increases the value of my NFT, or two, I just really appreciate the art. I want to get in on it right now. So these are plays that I like looking at. We have a ton of art rework coming up. So it's one of those things where, look, you just look for those catalysts of what they need in order to get there, and maybe there's some profit there. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking at.
To piggyback off of you about what you were saying regarding the needing an item to be able to upgrade, Mutato drink is another one for DJ Dojo. You need a Mutato drink to upgrade into whatever their new art will be. But the artist for their art upgrade is the person who did the Mutinate Yacht Club art. So that could be bullish. I've held Mutato drink for a while now, and it's just been off my radar. So that's why I haven't mentioned it. So I'm pretty much even again from where I purchased it at. But whenever that art reveal is coming up, seeing art reveal is the new meta, I think that Mutato drink could potentially be a good play as well.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I think that's something that's really interesting with the cats as well. Is like, I remember there was a little like, I don't want to say controversy or whatever it was, but like people were really dumping their floor price. And I thought it was really cool seeing that community come together, seeing Magic Eden, seeing pretty much everyone say like, hey, this isn't right. And basically everyone that sold at like 19 Sol got screwed over. So I thought that was really cool.
No, it was. I love seeing a rally like that, especially like when it was for such a stupid reason, dude. Like that we talked about it on the show. It was just like, dude, you're upset that he turned out to be Indian? Like, are you serious? Like, I remember seeing that one tweet that just got me so fired up. He's like, I'm dumping it. Can't believe he's Indian. What a disgrace. And I'm like, dude,
terrible.
What? Are you kidding? Take, dog. Like, that is completely against the ethos of Web3. And I'm like, you should not be here if that's
what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like,
so stupid.
Makes no sense.
So stupid, dude. Web3 is supposed to level the playing field. That's why we love it, especially Solana, where it's like, dude, the entry cost to like start building here is minimal, and like we support everybody. So I think we've talked about a ton here. I kind of want to get your guys' opinions going around the table. So Light, we'll start out with you. Is there anything in particular you're looking at? Any reason you're looking at it? Anything like that?
Anything that I'm looking at, to be honest, of course, we talked about Utes a lot. Like, I'm really interested in seeing, just the play there and what happens. And personally, yeah, I really am looking at Just Ape. Like at this point, I think that they have a lot of things planned, and I could see that collection kind of exploding. Sounds crazy to say, and yes, we've talked about it, but yeah, I've been looking at it pretty deeply. I think the team there just has like a lot of promise. So I'm looking at picking up a couple of those.
Cool. Yeah, I agree with that. Dorian, do you have anything that you're looking at right now?
Yeah, man. Other than Halo right now, I think that's a pretty low risk, high reward play. I mean, picking up Halo, like last time I checked, was like 0.009 Sol. So it's a pretty cheap play to pick up one, but you can pick up a handful and still have exposure to it. But right now, all the other stuff, bubblegoose is another good one. That's still, I think, around 6 or 7 Sol now. So I still think that's a low risk, high reward play. But I wouldn't really dabble anything into the Taiyo ecosystem, seeing that's in the middle of a pump right now. I think if you wanted to get in that, you should have gotten that a couple weeks ago when we were discussing it then. But yeah, man, bubblegoose and Halo are the two things I'm looking at.
For sure. I wholeheartedly agree with both of your guys' calls. I think Just Ape was on my radar big time, so I'm glad Light shares that sentiment. And bubblegoose, dude, I just look, if I'm looking at this chart, this is exactly how Liberty Square looked before they took off. Like exactly. There you see a ton of wicks to the downside every single day, and supply just gets eaten up. So I'm watching this one heavily. It's just a matter of when to me. Once we start seeing some volume pump back up, and I know they're releasing stuff here, hopefully by the end of September, that I think is going to be a major catalyst for it. And yeah, Just Ape too, finding that range and finally breaking out of it, it looks like, where they're now at, what is it? I think it's at like 7.8. Another low risk, high reward play that I think could pay out well. I think if they break that 8 Sol mark, that's like one of their more recent all-time highs if you exclude like mint day and the few days afterwards. That we see that, I think we start seeing a ton of bullishness on them. And they've had pretty good volume too, like really good volume. Their most volume in the past 2 months or so. So definitely plays on my radar. It's hard finding right now is like, we've already positioned most of our positions, you know, like that was what the past month, 2 months was for. It's just finding our plays where I'm like, yo, I'm bullish on 101 art. We went through all of our calls and I can continue doing all of that. But right now it's like, hey, be patient. Don't chase pumps. Find those projects that have a lot going for them and the market hasn't reflected yet. And that's where the wins are. So,
yeah, well said. Honestly, it's just like, you know, something is pumped like 1,000%. You know, just think twice before you jump in.
Basically. Absolutely. Great guys. We are at our 1 hour mark. Dude, we are so good at doing this hour, Dorian. I don't know what it is. Like this at the hour time frame is excellent. So Light, do you have any closing remarks? Anything you want? We will be watching Underground Society. Definitely dropped it a follow, I believe.
Most def.
And I'm making sure that I'm making sure there's a follow. Okay. I'm making sure I'm watching this because you are an incredible person in the Sol NFT space. I appreciate all the value you actually bring as far as level headedness and just actually providing value. Is there anything else that you want to kind of leave on that people should be watching?
No, nothing that people should be watching, but they should definitely be watching this show. Like, let's go, boys. This is so sick. I love what you have like just done here. And I think that it's just like, man, I can just see stuff like this exploding. So thank you so much for even having me on here. Like,
it won't be the last time, dude. You're definitely welcome back on. I appreciate your analysis. And like I said, your level, dude, I'm so bullish on people who just give level-headed analysis, add value, as well as, you know, every now and then we have our shit posts, right? Like that's the perfect balance to a person I think is going to succeed in the long term. So, dude, you are incredibly awesome. I love all the threads and everything you contribute to the space. If there's anything we can do for you as well, please let the show know.
Dog.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the hospitality, man. Y'all are awesome.
For sure. Dorian, anything else you want to leave on?
Man, I just want to continue to sing Light's praises over here, man. I love the threads, the value that you provide to the community, man. I'm super bullish on you, and Magic Eden is lucky to have you in addition to Ann. She's awesome writer too over there. So if you guys are signed up with that Magic Eden through email, please read her stuff. She has amazing takes, and I know you'll only continue to add value to that, man. I'm also bullish on you because you love Death Note, so you got to be bullish on anybody who loves Death Note.
Let's
Dude,
go.
that's what I'm saying. Let's go.
Notice, man.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I will leave it at that. I also want to wish Joe a speedy recovery and end on that too. Soon, I know Joe's not feeling great right now, so looking forward to having him back on hopefully next week, but we will continue to monitor that. And yeah, thank you so much, Light, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show. We appreciate it as always. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. This is how the best way to watch our channel is through YouTube, so we can interact with you in the comments, as well as follow us on Twitter. We have at RareFUD Radio. You can follow Light at Litecoin Yagami. I will go ahead and post that into the show notes. And then Dorian, of course, is at Dorian_W. There is a 3 in there. Don't be confused. So that about does it for us on this show. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.